song of the future. Welcome to Parashat Ha'azinu. Shabbat Shalom everyone, welcome to Parashat Ha'azinu. These days are in the days between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, Rosh Hashanah and the high holidays, and the weekly portions are getting confused. A lot of the years we don't read this portion but inside an holiday. When you go deep into this week portion, I really recommend you to read it. You see futuristic characters. You see a prophecy being held in a song that will be forevermore remembered as what the future is going to bring to the nations. The nation of Israel. What else can we say about what is going to pass this nation from exiles to returning to the land? And definitely a lot of news. You cannot avoid the news of this week, the declarations, Netanyahu, Trump. But forevermore we remember we are the nation that remembers its history and knows that it has a future, for everlasting future. And only when you read this portion and you understand where things happen and the way it happened and how we will be redeemed again. I want to dedicate this shiur, this short message, to a very close friend of mine. We talked about it many times of how friends my age are serving in the army. One of them is Liraz Tzvi Alevi, son of Sarah Yehudit. Liraz, a friend of mine, learned with me in high school, went through a lot of crazy stories in his life and found himself a commander in the Givati Brigade. Right now, injured a couple of days ago in southern Syria. Heart condition, in the hospital, has 5 children, and they had to cut both of his legs. We hope he will be recovered soon and he's going to step out of it. An amazing guy, a rabbi, an emissary in Jerusalem for the Lubavitch Chabad movement. And after the message of the portion, I want to tell you a story about something that happened to him this Rosh Hashanah, and I heard from another friend. When I went through this week parasha, there was one sentence that hit me strong. Moshe Rabbeinu says that he hopes that his message is going to come to the people like rain, and the words of his mouth like morning dew. And I had to think about what is the difference between rain and morning dew. I think that for many people, this reflection is about our spiritual connection. Sometimes there are those high moments in life, the moments that are equal to rain, a moment that comes and spreads a lot of influence from the heavens. We feel God. God is pouring on us this blessing, and we feel connected to Him, and we feel blessed, and we feel His presence in our life. And that's the rain element. And when talking about a message, is the fact that some things are very clear, they're very strong. Maybe there's a lot of them. Maybe represents a lot of words that are coming. It's like these elements of a lot, and you cannot avoid it, and it comes from the heaven to the earth. But there's another element, which is the morning dew. Actually, I have a daughter. Their name is Tal, this morning dew. And the story with this is just basically humidity in the morning takes time, brings on objects a couple of rainfall. I mean, water drops. And it's the complete opposite. It comes from underneath. It's very little, and sometimes you can really avoid it. Think about it. How many times lately did you notice the morning dew? Even in a way, if you wake up too late, it's going to be lost. In the meaning of the dew here is, if we talked about the spiritual connection, is the fact that sometimes things come from underneath, come in a very slow process, comes without this noticeable factor of a lot. There's not a lot of it. It's something that gathers until you have just enough. Just like morning dew, this is inspiration. And also, as we said, it's about small, very, very, very fragile inspiration or words that come and touch and brings liquid and brings life. I'm saying it in the times of these days of awe as we are witnessing a lot of words flying in the air with agreements, with decisions, with demonstration of powers. We just saw in the UN and we saw from President Trump and Netanyahu a lot of words, a lot of words. I wonder how much these words are going to really become something realistic. Maybe the big words that come from above are not really the words that comes from underneath in the reality. And I want to connect the dots between the words and inspiration that comes from above to a story that just happened to my friend Liraz, the one who was injured. And I heard it from another friend. So he is right now serving as a commander in the reserve units in the south of Syria. And he's being blessed to be released from Rosh Hashanah to go and spend the holidays with his 5 children and his wife. And they do it in his in-laws that live also in the north. And in the middle of Rosh Hashanah, in the middle of the holiday, he receives a phone call from the higher commander that says, we hear that there's voices around, you need to go back. We need to empower the lines after the 7th of October. Of course, any small alarm situation, all the troops come over. And he needs to come in the middle of the day of the first day to the army to the northern border. As I mentioned before, he's an emissary, he's a rabbi. His day-to-day job is to connect and bring Judaism and Yiddishkeit to students in Jerusalem. So he's always in the look for how he can bring more people Judaism, how he can influence them, and how he can bring blessings or rituals on the spot. And of course, if it's Rosh Hashanah, and he comes anyway to the army base, what can he do? Of course, he can blow the shofar. So he brings his shofar with him, ready to blow to whoever he's going to find on the way. And as he drives along, he stops in a couple of bases and he gathers some people and he blows the shofar. And he arrives to one of these bases, and the guy who's driving the car says to him, listen, you don't need to go to this base. It's a very small base, it's a very small unit. And it's funny that it was only religious kids. There's a program called ESDER program, religious kids that go to the army together. And there's a Druze unit that volunteered to take over in Rosh Hashanah. Druze are not participating in the holiday. They're not Jewish. They don't have the rituals. So they decided allow these religious kids to go and to their families. A lot of them are married. So there's no Jews around. And my friend Liraz understands it, so he stays in the car. And as they're sitting in the car, a guy comes from the base and he wears training like pajamas and he doesn't look Jewish. And he starts talking with my friend and he says to him, what are you doing here? I thought everybody is Jewish. He said, I'll tell you my story. You see me like this, with pajamas, but you don't know the fact. I don't look religious, but I actually was born to a very religious family, a Hasidic family in Jerusalem. One of the most, I would say, even the extreme Hasidic groups. It's called Satmar. And something happened to me in my life that I've decided to abandon all aspects of Judaism. I don't want to practice any more of it. I'm in tortured, or I don't know what happened in the home, but I wasn't willing to participate anymore in any rituals. So therefore, not only that I really avoided to the extreme, I thought that there's nothing better than to avoid all of this Rosh Hashanah, all the rituals, all this shofar nonsense. That's what he says. If I'm gonna come and serve here in this Druze unit, so I was so happy to stay. You see me in the pajamas. I don't practice anything. I'm all good. And of course, he mentioned, my friend, I know you want to build a shofar, but it's not for me. So my friend smiles, says, no problem, brother. I wish you a happy holiday. He didn't want to push, he didn't want to say anything else. But something happened in that moment. The smile, and without a lot of words, just being friendly, opened something in this kid's heart. And he says to him, you know what? Let's blow the shofar. But I wear pajamas. I grew up in such a Hasidic group, they wear all these black things. I don't have any black and white uniforms here, but I have my madim, I have my uniforms of the army. So let me go get dressed for a second. And he comes back getting dressed. And then he asks him, can I borrow also your prayer shawl? Just for a second for this. If we do it already, let's do it. So he brings him the prayer shawl. And then he says to him, would you mind that I'm going to make the blessing? I remember everything. I grew up on it. And suddenly this kid wanted to avoid everything. Far distant, years had passed since the last time he did any of those rituals. Sits in the border with my friend. My friend blows the shofar, and he's expressing how he makes this blessing with a very strong Yiddish accent. Baruch also grew up to it. And for that slim, small minute, he came closer to God, and who knows what will follow. All of it happened less than a week ago in Rosh Hashanah. On the Sabbath, he tells the story to a friend, and on Sunday, he gets this injury up north. At this crucial time of the end of the year, the beginning of a new year, as the words came out of Trump and Netanyahu, let's try to see how all our hostages are coming back and how we will come back to a secure living without any injuries, any death to soldiers, and everybody will return back to their home. Shabbat Shalom.